Welcome back to Beyond All Reason 1 vs 1s. We have Pigz and TankTom facing off. If you have been watching our series, you will know Pigz was a new player who has been practicing his game versus our slightly more experienced bar fans at All Reason No Logic. It's been 30 games and Pigz has won one. Hopefully this will make it two. I'm Twig and I'm joined by Bruticus and Pradith for another bout.
You're joining us for a core versus Armada with TankTom starting strong with a vehicle lab. On a map like this with a lot of open ground, these vehicles are going to be very strong and very good in the chokes. But Pigz jumping in with a bot lab will have the advantage in mobility and unit quantity, which means he might be able to slip on through and deal a lot of damage. A lot of mechs around this map, but not too many of them. None of them particularly high. A lot of 1.9s and wind on this map, 12% risk. So definitely want to get a safety solar in there, but still perfectly viable to go and max out on wind. So I'd like to see those blueprints going through. Joining us, Rudicus. Who do you think is favored to win on a map like this?
Well, I think at this point it's going to be scouting advantage. With Pigz going bots, he's not going to win those open ground face-offs easily. But with Tom's base right near that hill, he's going to have Pigz will have the advantage in pushing down that hill and retreating back up, where the tanks won't be able to follow or follow as easily. So
Yep.
he can definitely do some good damage if he gets on those hills. But if he takes an open field fight, depending on what the composition and micro of Tom, I'd say it's in Tom's favour. So I think at this stage, I'll put it down to who scouts what and the decisions they make from there.
This stage of the game, I really would have loved to have seen some ticks pushed out by Pigz, knowing that there's not much metal coming in. He could jump over there right now. Of course, he doesn't know what Tom's gone, but get that scouting information to see that still no offensive units out by Tom yet, who's gone for an extremely greedy start with a double construction vehicle.
And he is out of metal at the moment, which means that his defenses will be long in coming. Even with this slower push in using pawns instead of ticks, there is a decent chance that these will make it to the base before TankTom really has anything that he can do with it. The early construction vehicles very exposed and going for mexes that are in the path, in the main entryway to these bases.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that early aggression. The only thing that's going to stop this attack would be Tom's commander. And if Pigz dances those pawns around the wind, he's going to line of sight block that commander, and he can pick away at that wind and then dart back out and come back later for some more. The only advantage Tom really has at the moment is that radar, so he might be able to position his comm just in time to intercept.
One to learn for those new players: if you do build early units, make sure you use them, otherwise they're going to lose their value pretty quick smart.
Mm-hmm.
Though using them to hold this choke is not necessarily a bad idea. Stopping any units from getting in, stopping any scouting information, that is a use for them. But if you're in a position like this where you haven't seen anything out of your opponent just yet, pushing them up to his choke might be worthwhile. TankTom going with very risky play, but it seems to be paying off for him.
Getting his first unit out just after the 3.5 minute mark. And I don't think Pigz has done what we've told him to do in the past, which is if you select a unit and hit F2 if you're on the legacy keys or F6 on the grid keys, you can see where your units that you've selected can traverse. So you can see the bots here can go pretty much everywhere apart from those massive peaks, whereas if you select the vehicles, you can see that they cannot go up the steep embankments that are, for example, next to TankTom's base.
What I'd love to see Pigz do is he could store some units up in this corner out of line of sight of radars and hold them there, come in with a distraction attack in here, forcing Tom's units to come to intercept, and then wheeling in and attacking the base with that little force that he's hidden.
I think Pigz might have just realised how few units Tom has. And
yes. And Tom going for those two mexes close to the entry to his base meant that they almost immediately got taken out.
Pigz really needs to press that advantage that he's just made, but keeping the units at least at the entryway. As soon as those vehicles get to a critical mass, Pigz is going to lose that advantage. Only just sending out a constructor for the first time now after 5 minutes to go outside of those initial mexes.
Pigz going in and getting the jump on those incisors, they will be unable to run away. So that is Pigz taking on bad control right there. Managed to let the incisors get away. If those incisors are running, they are capable of outrunning those pawns. But TankTom trying to sway them side to side, unable to get a good engagement off. Losing a lot of the mexes, and Pigz is now in the area free reign. If he sends those units around and tries to check out the rest of the base, he would have a great opportunity to do so. Unfortunately, he just tries for the base run by.
He did a good start with that splitting off to go for one of the mexes while the others fought the incisor. What I would like to see those ones that split off continuing to split off, not rejoining the fight to go for the base.
A little bit of chase micro, a little bit bad chase micro
both
here.
Players are both players
But
not microing those units.
One thing that this does do is it leaves TankTom with a large amount of available metal in his base if he were to reclaim it. But as his vehicles, the options to reclaim it are much more expensive than if he was bots, and still nothing on the front. A single pounder heading there, another one heading to back him up, but Pigz certainly could have been much more active in getting more units in here.
No, it looks like the time of the pawn has ended, unless he wants to do that flanking attack I talked about earlier.
Yep.
It's time for some thugs and aggravators.
And this is why it's when you start on this map, if you can pick the other side, if you can pick here as your starting location, it's highly recommended instead of the cliffs, which gives you additional attack avenues. Though TankTom has put a radar down here, so he will be well warned by it, and he's got his comm out exposed, grabbing all those mechs. So he is certainly going for a risky eco play, and Pigz has been unable to punish him. So TankTom is going to be well and truly ahead. His metal income more than double Pigz's. So
just zooming out, you can just really see how important it is to spread out those constructors and get that economy. Triple the income from TankTom compared to Pigz, just because he's only got the one constructor going around slowly, which doesn't have much build power when the metal's empty, because he's using the commander and the construction turret to assist the building of centurions, which is just going to prevent the expansion of that eco. So he should be doing one or the other at this stage of the game when he's on just 12 metal income per second.
And now he is fighting his least favorite units in pounders, but TankTom not the most experienced with using pounders, so he's put them in a position where they can be surrounded. Their slow move speed certainly hampers them sometimes, but with Pigz seeding the entrance, he should be able to block this off and use them as a brick to hammer.
Beautiful reaction from Pigz. He's switched to Rocketeers now to deal with those pounders. Unfortunately, all he can do really now is kite while those pounders continue to push, and he's not. He's pushing in.
TankTom able to bring most of those pounders' firepower to bear, but Pigz spreading his units out nicely, mitigating the AoE attack of these anti-swarm tanks.
Pigz going for a couple Dragon Claws, and they are just going to take far too long to get up because he is hemorrhaging that eco.
With no metal income, these will have a build time in excess of a minute.
I'd love to see Tom just push through and get the win quick smart on this one, because it's one that Pigz isn't going to win if he doesn't completely change up his tactic here.
Yep, smartly, TankTom has swapped to a brute heavy composition with a couple of Wolverines and Lashes thrown in. Lashes give you great line of sight. Wolverines give you the ability to harass and force your enemy into your engagements. And he's moved away from the Pounders, which are generally a slow unit and great for pushing, but not so great for a map like this where you might have to maneuver.
I like what Tom's done over here as well. He sent one pounder off into the side of the map to go and scout for mexes. Didn't find any, but it was definitely a good move, because if Pigz did expand, Tom would have cleaned up a lot of mexes there.
TankTom very unable to spend the metal that he has. Huge income at the moment. 38 at the 10-minute mark is a fantastic amount of metal. Going into four construction turrets and a T2 lab. Unfortunately, he's built
take a lot of energy, so probably need to
Yep.
put up a couple of advanced solars before that T2 lab, or at least build the metal storage just so you don't waste any of that metal.
Yep.
Definitely
Or
metal storage.
we definitely want to see, if not advanced solars, more solars out of him. He's only got the 3 more building. One little mistake here is the first build turret is in range of building the next 6, but it is not in range of assisting that T2 lab. So just a slight positioning error there. Looking up in the top corner, TankTom is using his comm to build an out-of-the-way wind farm, so he's definitely getting that energy income up there, but he won't quite have enough to power all those build turrets for a while.
Probably Pig's only chance of going for the win there is finding that commander, because he's not going to get a lot very far through this wall of this wall of how many 11 pounders.
Yep. So with the Tom pulling back, not knowing exactly how much Pigz has, but with the 11 pounders, you really can crush on through. Those Dragon Claws just coming up, but until they take their first shot, they're almost a waste of metal. Tom engaging not quite in a line, so losing a pounder for not much damage.
Trickle damage from those lashes is helping though. They've taken down 1 Rocketeer and almost finished a pawn. Not much, but yeah, it definitely adds up over a kiting fight. Looks like the Brutes are finally joining the fight and a Wolverine, so this can definitely become a push through.
Tom managing to catch Pigz's army as it's on the advance, letting him get a lot of firepower to bear, using that, allowing him to still fight even with that slightly shortened range. And now with the Wolverine in the mix, we're going to see more and more chip damage accompanying the lashes if they start making their way back in. Need to see some sort of
Tom needs to be
Tom.
going at the units rather than away from them. The first person to retreat each time in these bouts. He wants to push until those until those bots turn around and run away, rather than running away from the bots, because the bots will outpace the vehicles.
Well, the firepower to do that push is heading to the front line. The first thing out of the T2 that's a combat unit is a Tiger.
And
the
Tiger's
on the way.
So much HP and great in this kind of fight. They're faster and they're stronger.
Realistically, that Tiger could probably just ignore that T1 mass when the Tom's T1 pushes in to fight and just drive straight through and start getting into the back line. It can outrun the comm and it can outrun the bots and do a lot of damage quickly.
Positional mistake here, Tom getting those Wolverines in front. Doesn't look like it's going to cost him too much, but if we look at these pounders which keep engaging, so many of them are below 50%, so that's still got the firepower of 11 pounders, but only the survivability of about 5. But Pig's really on the rope here. These Wolverines are really going to start chipping away at that army. He's forced to do an engagement, and it does not go well for him. Fighting into pounders is rough. And Tom is just going to be building up that T2. He hasn't even let Pigz know yet that he has them. So
honestly,
he may...
If I was Pigz, I would have just pulled back into those Dragon Claws and used them while you still had your army, instead of throwing it into the pounders.
TankTom pushing his units into those Dragon Claws. Taking some unnecessary damage, but gaining speed for the attack. He's located Pigz's comm, and this looks like all of his units are heading to intercept the direction the comm is going. T2 tank, manages to dodge the D-gun, getting bits of damage on. Gotta predict where the tank is going to go, and now it is kiting the comm. So the comm cannot catch up, provided the micro is good enough.
Second one, third one's joining in now for the surround bonus damage as well, and there it goes.
That's a GG out of TankTom. When you capture the entire map's worth of eco, and your player and your opponent is stuck inside of a small area, it's almost a foregone conclusion. Unfortunately, those early units from Pigz were unable to do the damage required to contain TankTom, and his greedy eco managed to push him through. So a bit of a rough start for TankTom with those pushes in, but not enough damage to stop the eco.
You can really see the difference in the game there was purely eco. Pigz unfortunately hemorrhaging his eco by building multiple things at the same time and using his commander assist the bot lab for expensive units before getting any other mexes up outside of the initial 3. in the base, and as a result, you can see more than double the metal produced and more than double the energy produced by TankTom across the map, and a good job expanding outside of the boundaries of just the start positions by Tom with constructors and his commander to take almost every mech on the map outside of Pig's base. Pigz, do have to criticize that even by the end of that match, 14 minutes, you hadn't even sent any constructors to build the last 4 medals that are within that start box, that start area, the start, what would you call it, canyon. Is a reason just, once again, too early in the morning?
No, I kept saying to myself, I need to move out. I need to move out to go get them done. But I was like worried about. I needed, because obviously I knew. I thought, he's been talking to Pred then. Fucking pounders again. And then I realized straight away. I thought, right, I need to go to Rocket Bots. I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't have enough of them, so I was trying to get enough of them to then, you know what I mean? It's like it's like one of these things is. If I'd have done that beforehand, I wouldn't have been behind with the next, which means I would have been. Yeah, it's like
hot tip to the viewers out there: if your eco is quite low, you're not going to be able to afford those Centurions and light plasma bots, the maces. Go for those Rocketeers beforehand because they are much cheaper. And Pigz, it was a good decision to jump to those Rocketeers, obviously too late, but one of the other good decisions you made was pushing those pawns in, although you did it a little bit late at the start. If you went straight in, you would have found you had about 6 units before Tom even produced his first one. And once you did get in the base, you actually took your camera off of the micro a few times to look back in your base and set up some of your eco. It is really important just to keep in the front line when you've got those engagements, because those engagements can cause you to win the game. Like if you did simply send units around the back of Tom's base, you probably would have found that there was no units or structures defending any of the mexes that he had set up apart from the ones in his initial base.
One thing I want to say about your greeting, Tom, you went for the mexes right near the entrance. If you're planning on going this greedy, I would certainly go from the back forward, just so that you have more chance to defend them, because the first 2 mexes you took, you lost them almost immediately to those pawns, so you fell even further behind from those 2, whereas if they'd been right in the back corner, there's a good chance that Pigz would have found your base before finding them.
Yeah.
That's a choice that I was trying to do as well. Do you go to like a bit further, or do you sit right at the back and then move forward? I couldn't decide even at the start with that one because they were all not relatively close to each other and they're all sort of in corners. It's like,
I do think most players would start further forward and then send a constructor back, and that's typically the way most games are played by more experienced players.
On this map, the choice starting position is next to the water, because it means that just by existing, you're blocking one entrance off to the back of the map, as compared to where TankTom started, which gives the opponent entry through into the back base via the cliffs. So
you're saying I started in the right place?
You started in the correct place. Yep.
I did something right today then.
I would have liked to have seen you, I described it in the video, do a sneak attack on Tom. So you could have attacked his front and distracted him, and then had some pawns hidden on that hill. And once his army was coming for yours, move those pawns in and then do a run by on his base. That's what I would have liked to have seen. I know it's not something that you can think up on the fly while you're under the pump, but yeah, something to think of next time is being sneaky.
I was worried about that right-hand side because obviously you can actually get stuff over on that right-hand side. I had nothing to protect it. That's why I was moving the pawns until I saw the pounders come. I thought, no point now. I might as well not move them there.
I can't get my vehicles through there.
Yeah, once you saw the vehicles, you were pretty safe to know that he's only got one choke he can push through unless he goes amphibious.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and I was worried about that because I've been done like that before, haven't I? So I was like, oh, is he gonna? That's why I blocked that off with the LLTs because I thought if he's gonna change to the amphibious there, I'm going to be no chance. He's going to get through. So I was a bit worried about that as well. So it was like I was worried about all sorts of things, and that's probably why I didn't do as good as I should have done. But
defending the water spot, if you put a radar, one of the water radars in there, it gives you the sonar across the water, but it also gives you the radar coverage well and truly into the other side of the map. That should give you enough warning to build defenses if need be, which saves you just that little bit of extra metal. Anyway,
yeah.
on that note, I reckon we'll call it there, and we'll jump into the next game. Thanks everyone for joining us. If you enjoyed the game and the commentary, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment if you've got anything that you want us to read. If you're interested in joining us for more of these 1v1s or just playing with us on the stream, jump in onto our Discord, links in the description. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.